A new Tampa Bay Business Journal hits newsstands today, and editor Alexis Muellner is here once again to talk about some of the week's big stories. Good morning. Happy Friday to you.
Dear.
You come with some really exciting news. We're talking about a new project that will expand public transportation in Hillsborough County.
Well, bus rapid transit, BRT, is not have the sort of same sex appeal as light rail, which voters sort of rejected in 2010. This is 18 miles of a bus route that goes up Nebraska and then over from Fletcher, and along the way there are these stations that they're going to enhance. They've been buying up property, and the buses have Wi-Fi, and they're timed to lights, and this is sort of a step, certainly in creating better services, and what the hope is that the visibility along those routes will help businesses, and then that leads to something called transit-oriented development. And so, the long-term goal is more visibility, more ridership, and also creating some energy for that corridor, which would be great for that part of Tampa.
Yeah, sounds pretty cool. Yeah, you mentioned baby steps. You got to start somewhere.
You do have to start somewhere, and any improvements to the transportation system and ridership, I think, will be well felt and appreciated in this community.
Yeah, we're keeping a theme going of expansion here because a subsidiary of the Moffitt Cancer Center is also expanding.
Right. This is M2Gen, otherwise Moffitt Genetics Corp is a subsidiary of that, and this is a building that they created with Hillsborough County, and that area of science is really important. They do a couple of really interesting things. There's something called total cancer care, where they take tissue samples and they store it in these freezers at 81 degrees below Celsius, and they try to match unique characteristics of different kinds of cancers, and they're also working on matching clinical trials. But what's really happening is they're looking for investors to expand this concept elsewhere in the country, because they think that bioscience is an area of job growth and certainly an area where science is so diversified and growing that their concept could be translated elsewhere. And this is another great quality of one of the major assets that we have here.
Yeah, very exciting.
It is.
And also everybody's looking ahead to this summer when the RNC comes to town in August, and some business, I guess, venues are starting to think about catering to larger crowds. Is that right?
Well, that's what's happening, is that they're starting to begin prepping for the kinds of parties that they've never hosted, establish relationships with food providers and the kinds of folks who can do these services. But there is now beginning to be some opportunities that, a year ago they started to sort of, some of the contracts for the RNC were doled out, but now as we get really close, there's still some business available for these centers, and they're also doing trial runs and practicing to try and put on parties to the level that they haven't done before. So it's almost here. It's starting to feel like it's really on the horizon, and we're reporting a lot about it, and it's going to be very interesting.
Very exciting, too.
Indeed.
Always good to see you, Alexis.
Likewise, Dia.
And for more Business Journal headlines, go to abcactionnews.com/business.